Welcome back everyone to more NASCAR 21 Ignition. And in today's video, we've got patch notes. Patch number 2 notes are inbound, and thankfully, it looks like we're going to be getting this patch in the next day or two. But before we get too deep into the patch notes, a couple of pieces of information. First and foremost, I will be posting a link to this article and the patch notes down in the description below. Also, I'm going to put a link to the Nipit Gaming Discord down below. That is a great place to ask questions and a place for me to pass along news and updates that don't necessarily fit within the videos I post here on the channel. So with that in mind, let's move on to the patch notes. The very first piece of information that I like to see are release dates. And the great thing here, while Xbox and PC don't have confirmed dates yet, PlayStation is actually today, as of this recording, on October the 27th. That lets me know that Xbox and PC should be coming in the next day or two. That makes me very happy. I cannot wait to open up Steam and see a patch being downloaded for this game. Now, as we go down through a lot of the information in the patch notes, you're going to see some things that are mentioned multiple times. And also, I'm going to point out a few things as we scroll through. Not everything, of course, that would take way too long. But I'm going to point out a few of the things that have really affected me and my enjoyment of the game, and things that I am very happy to see being addressed. The first thing, and really this should be the first because this has caused so much confusion, is we're going to talk about the steering assist setting. That is going away. In fact, it's something that I dealt with quite a bit in the video released today on the channel about game options. The offsetting is going to make an appearance in the game, and hopefully this is something that we'll be getting rid of very soon. All of this confusion about steering assist, can you turn it off, can you not, and how that works. So hopefully that's going away very soon. I am extremely excited to see that being addressed here in the patch notes. Also, added support for AI difficulty on qualifying time. So they're going to have AI difficulty factor into the qualifying time. This is something I've noticed. The qualifying times were kind of all over the place depending on your difficulty. For those of you who have tried out the max difficulty and then also the champion level difficulty, you'll notice that on some tracks in particular, this can be an issue. So again, good to see this being addressed. Also, the right rear track bar and the pit stop options. This is something that we dealt with here on the channel in, I believe it was Atlanta, in that gameplay video where the caution came out. We were coming into the pits, but I could not select the right rear track bar. Now, it's going to mention this again a little bit further down, but good to see that these things are being addressed. Also, this is something that brought a huge smile to my face. Brake markers on the road courses. This is something that I had to laugh whenever I originally tested the road courses in the game. I had no visual cues to go by. So it was going to take me a while to really figure out where I needed to brake because there were no markers. So I'm extremely happy to see this making an entrance into the game. So hopefully we can all get by a little bit better at the road courses. Then we have a few other PC specific options. The one at the bottom really caught my attention. Implemented the full PC display options. Again, anything we can do to expand the game and things like display options, I am all for. We're going to see a little bit further down that they're also going to be implementing fixes for display options not saving. So it's being worked on. We'll see how quickly all of this can be actually fixed, or if it's going to take multiple patches to get it to where it needs to be. But it is something that they're addressing, and hopefully we'll be rid of some of these serious issues very soon. Now into the adjustments tab. Again, we see this low steering assist option making another appearance. Now, for those of you who have been having some issues with that and maybe haven't been able to turn it off, it's going to be more consistent. This is something that I ran into before I was able to actually get it turned off. So I am very happy to see this making an appearance. Then we have some other issues related to lighting and paint schemes and different things, which is always good. But then this one really caught my eye. Refining the rolling start speeds in practice and qualifying. This is something that I'd like to think I had a hand in this one getting fixed, because as soon as I got an early copy of the game, this is one of the first things I noticed, because I went into a qualifying session and realized that I was probably 10 to 15 miles an hour slower than I should have been when it spawned me on the track, which immediately made my qualifying attempt, which was only one lap, null and void. It was completely pointless. So very excited to have that issue being addressed. Then we get into some of the general fixes, and this is a long list. At the very top of the fixes is something that I feel like is just a requirement that you put in here. Fixed a number of issues that resulted in general instability. So that is a very vague way of saying we fixed a whole bunch of stuff that was causing the game not to run correctly without having to list each and every one of them separately. So again, I feel like that has to be there if you're going to have patch notes. Then there were a couple that I have seen a lot, particularly recently. I'm not sure what changed for me in the game, but a lot of times the application will become unresponsive. And this moves right into an issue where the game could freeze starting a race weekend. That has happened to me quite a few times. And in fact, the only way I could get the game to continue on and unfreeze, it would seem, is to alt-tab out of the game. And that seemed to be what fixed it for me, but not something you want to be doing long-term. So it's good to see that that one is being addressed. And then one of my favorite lines in this entire file is right here. Fixed an issue where the spotter would repeat voice or text lines and interrupt. For those of you who watched my gameplay footage, I purposefully left that in there. When we would get 3 wide or 4 wide for that matter, most of the time the spotter would just lock up. He would just be trying to say too many things at one time. He would never get anything out, and he would basically go nuts. It was driving me crazy, but I left it in there because I know the developers, they pay attention to the content that is out there. So I wanted to make that perfectly clear to anyone watching that this was an issue that needed to be addressed. So extremely happy to see that that is in patch number 2. As we scroll down a little bit further, there are some online issues that are being addressed, which is good. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to really get into the online just yet, because every time I've tried it so far, there's not really been anyone on. But I definitely want to get into that a little bit more, hopefully in the next few days, once some of these issues get worked out. Then we get into the black flags that seemingly are random, and they are definitely being thrown in correctly. If you remember, in our gameplay footage of Darlington, I talked about that at the very beginning. I had to turn the NASCAR rules off for exactly this reason. So good to see that this is being addressed. Then right below it, fixed an issue where the AI would slow down excessively. Now, I'm not sure why they would slow down at all in some of these areas, but excessively at Talladega is where I've seen it. And also apparently it's happening at Nashville. Haven't seen it at Nashville, but I also haven't spent a good deal of time there either. But Talladega have definitely seen this. So again, good to see. Any issues with the AI that are being addressed, I'm all for. All right, let's scroll down some more. We got some issues with the paint booth that are being solved. Actually, the paint booth is the one part of this game that has given me the greatest joy. So if they're fixing things that I haven't seen that you guys are seeing and that are affecting your gameplay and enjoyment, then this is really good. Now, I've also seen issues with the screen not sizing correctly. So it's good to see some of these things are being addressed. Also, the next one that I have seen quite a bit are resolution changes on the PC. For me, there are times when, as this thing mentions, resolution changes are not having an effect. For me, it's also been where the resolution would randomly change during a race weekend, and I would have to exit the race, go back in, and reset it. So again, this is being addressed. Similar issue right below that where the PC display settings were not being correctly applied. This is something that I believe a lot of people on PC have been dealing with, and it's certainly a very welcome fix. As we move down a little bit more, the issue with level of detail changing from some of the chase cameras, I know this has been a big issue for some people, so again, good to see that that is being addressed. Also, the cutscene on pit road not triggering properly, another issue. Now this, it mentions Bristol and Bristol Dirt, but I want to say there were some other tracks where that was happening as well. So if those are not addressed here in this patch, then maybe those will be fixed a little bit later on. All right, let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit more and let you guys have an opportunity to read through. Again, there's some more online issues, online game lobby issues that are in here. And we scroll down a little bit further. We get a couple of these. Actually, this is the second one that I wanted to point out. Fixed an issue where the AI cars would drive around too fast in the background of the results screen. We saw this one, I believe it was at Atlanta, where the cars were just wrecking each other all over the place. We had cars in the grass doing donuts, and it was quite hilarious, actually, looking back on it. So, again, another one of those things that definitely needed to be fixed. And then you get into, once again, the steering assist when using a racing wheel. So, steering assist is definitely something that has been addressed, and hopefully for the first and only time that it will need to be addressed. All right. Then we get into another one. This is one that I believe I saw once or twice where the title would not show up in window mode on 1080p. If you're like me and you still are using a 1080p monitor, then maybe this will help you out as well. Also, this is where I was mentioned earlier about the track bar adjustment not coming out or have the ability to be selected under yellow flag conditions. That definitely happened to us. And again, I believe that was Atlanta where that happened. So as you can see, there are a lot of things that just I know I've seen as we're scrolling through this list. And I'm sure for those of you following along with me, there are several of these that I'm not pointing out specifically that have happened to you and have hurt your enjoyment. So another one, fix an issue where the AI could brake at Daytona Road Course at the start-finish line. I have to say that one caught me out big time. The first time I went to the road course and caused quite a pileup when that happened because I was not expecting anything close to the brake markers they were using at the Daytona Road Course. So good to see that that is being addressed as well. All right, again, scrolling on down a little bit, giving you guys an opportunity to look and see if some of the issues that are plaguing you are in the list. Then we get down to the bottom where we have some Xbox specific issues, PC only issues. These are really important because if they can specify that this is only happening in a certain version of the game, then that tells me that things are going really well in being able to duplicate these issues. We've got some localization issues there, and one that I have not seen specifically, but fixing an issue where the player's custom paint scheme did not appear correctly on the low graphics setting. Yeah, that would be extremely upsetting if you spent all that time perfecting your paint scheme only to have it not show up at all. I can see where that would be very much a problem. And then one that I reported very early on after getting the game. So again, it makes me feel better to think that maybe I helped recognize this issue and get it addressed. Improve the detail of the rear view mirror. Early on, I noticed that the rear view had a very low resolution to it and was something that, like the road lines, the white lines and the dotted lines were missing on the road, as well as the textures and everything were very low resolution. So good to see that that is being addressed. And then the final one, some of the visual issues that were going on with resolution and the quality of the graphics. Display settings appeared to reset when leaving the pause menu. Yes, that is something I have definitely come across so far in the game. So there you have it, folks. Patch number 2. It is a long list of bugs and various issues with the game that are being addressed. And I already know that they have a patch number 3 that is under development, which should be coming out very soon after patch 2. So things are moving very quickly here. I know that launch has gone anything but smoothly. We'll just be kind about it and say that it has gone anything but smooth. But the developers are on it. They hear our concerns. So keep it coming. Let these guys know what is wrong with the game and see if they can indeed get it to the state that we need it in order for it to be playable for a very long time. That's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and stick around for more NASCAR 21 Ignition.